media gag that we are talking about for the last 4 months that we have been witnessing, this is not for the first time that this has happened in Kashmir. We have seen a lot of it earlier also. For example, I have a first-hand, very horrible experience of this in 2008, this Amarnath land row. My office was raided by police, everything ransacked, some of the staff members manhandled, and then the police did not even bother to tell me why they did this. And when the local media carried the news that this was done, the police blankly said no, they didn't do it. Although the SHO of the concerned police station, he called me and I told him, why did you do this? He said he had orders from his superiors. And what I believe why they did this was because I was reporting facts. Before that, I got a phone call from CIK, the counterinsurgency wing of the CID, and one of the SPs who I had a good rapport with, it was a warning come advice that I should not report so much of what's happening around, and I should also run soft stories.
What was your publication? Can you tell us a little bit about
Kashmir Newsline. I was editing it, and
this was a daily?
This was a daily, yeah, in 2008, and I did not.
When did you start the daily?
I started that very year. Fortunately or unfortunately, the launch of Kashmir Newsline coincided with this 2008 uprising. So I could not start off with rosy stories. I had to report what was happening on ground zero, and this irked the authorities, the police department especially. And I used to get phone calls, and there was also a time when papers were seized from office, and also a couple of times I went to the market and didn't see a single copy on the stands.
Tell us what happened this time in 2010.
Yeah, there are many incidents. Take this senior photographer Mehrajuddin, who was on his professional duties, and he was beaten to pulp just because he was on duty and he reported. And then also a very senior journalist from CNN IBN, their correspondent Mufti Islah, he got a sound beating. And there are a few more incidents. And I also remember, let me remind you, in Mufti Saab's period when he was the chief minister, Greater Kashmir was 10 cases were filed against Fayaz Kullu, the proprietor of Greater Kashmir, just for reporting certain things, and these were all false cases. He was implicated and then forced.
Are they more sensitive during the uprising periods, or do they take offense to even reporting corruption cases against the government, which are not related to the conflict directly?
I'm not sure about that, but I personally believe it's more so in troubled times, when there's a certain uprising, this 3-month, 4-month uprising, the one that we are passing through right now. Police is more active, the administration is more harsh on media, and they don't generally have a problem with if you carry corruption stories and other
What
things.
About did Kashmir Newsline have to face anything this time in the uprising?
It doesn't run anymore, and one of the reasons was that persecution, if I may call it.
Why did you stop the paper?
I could not get advertisements, and it fell out of favor with the establishment. And if the establishment doesn't want a paper to grow, it's never going to grow, even however good it may be.
What are some of the ways in which the government does interfere with newspapers? You mentioned that there can be raids,
There can be raids, there could be physical. Yes, a very strong indirect way of doing this is, and they mostly do that with first-line newspapers, papers like Greater Kashmir, Kashmir Times, and Rising Kashmir, and other leading newspapers. What they do is they suddenly block the ads. So as you know, advertisement is the oxygen of newspapers. I think this happened in 2008. A massive Hurriyat G ad was carried by some newspapers, which didn't go down well with the government, and they suddenly banned their advertisements. Then they sent a letter to the respective newspapers telling them that they should apologize for this advertisement. So some of the newspapers wrote an apology and submitted before the government, and their advertisements were released. I think Greater Kashmir did not budge, and then the face-off continued for a long time. But then, since Greater Kashmir is a very widely read newspaper, the government thought that, well, if we continue with this face-off with this newspaper, we may be the losers. So then they just release their advertisements, and there are many ways. Wherever, and there are other ways of also influencing the media. The lucre, money is paid for. There's a hell lot of design news. If you are constantly following and observing Kashmir newsprint especially, what you will notice is that you develop a discerning sense and you can easily make out which news has come from which quarter, even articles. It happens in other parts of the world also, but here, this manufacturing an opinion, creating a content through articles, through letters sometimes to the editor, and through news items. Even front page news, that should be purely news and purely objective. Sometimes you see funny things on the front pages which are actually aimed at creating an opinion. So that's also one way of doing it. But mostly there are government is very powerful, the police is unaccountable, so they have so many things at their disposal to.
When I started reporting from Kashmir 4 months back, in the beginning of it, like we used to travel freely and all, nothing used to be there and all. But then suddenly the Tufail Moto incidents happens and all, and then there are massive protests and all, and suddenly the state becomes active in a way. How it became active was the way it started curbing the news reporters, particularly either covering the incident or reporting the incident or reaching to the spot. I think, like, I'll give you my personal examples. I came to pick up my friend, he was a colleague of mine, around 4 p.m. or something. In his place there were stone pelting incidents around 2 or something, so there were harsh curfew imposed. The moment I reached towards his place, and this person was already beaten in the morning, he called me up that I have been already beaten by the police, so I can't move out unless you don't come to pick me up from the cab exactly near my door. So we went to his place. Just before his place there was CRPF posting there. They stopped us. I told them I'm a journalist and we are going to pick one of our colleagues for. He said, okay, which organization are you working for? The moment we said the particular organization, which is a local organization, his whole face changed and all, because they particularly, whenever you discuss the local media and all, they take you as a part of the resistance or whatever you call it. They take you on the other side of it. They always say you don't report partially and all. So then he said, do you have today's newspaper with you? And unfortunately we had one of our newspapers. I gave him my newspaper, and there was a stone pelting protest we had shown on our front page, and there was a guy who was pelting stones. Our cameraman has taken the picture of his back. So this guy says, why are you not showing his front face? We told him there were a lot of firing was happening and stones were thrown at all. He took a safe place and shot him from there only. He said, no, you people are taking sides, you shouldn't do this. And then he started abusing us. You people all are terrorists and all. If you would have given us this picture and all, we would have arrested him. We told him it's not our job to portray somebody's pictures and all. We just report. He said, no, you people don't report and all. Then he started abusing us, made us came out of the cabs, didn't allow us to move for around half an hour and all. Then finally he said, okay, jao, tum log aise hi ho and all. Then he finally let us leave. Every day I have to get through humiliation. And when I come back, there is a contrast. I used to work outside for 4 years. When I come, I don't come in the office cab, I come on my own. And when the CRPF person stops me, I show him my previous organization card, which was based in Delhi. So I told him, "Bhaiya, nahi Delhi se hu." And my newspapers or my portals name suits them. It's related to India, so they respect me. I got lift for thrice because of them. So like, this is the kind of a bias towards the media. They know like whether Kashmir media reports partially or impartially.
Telling a security personnel that you are from the local media is like showing a red rag to a bull. You know, especially when the atmosphere is surcharged. Say there have been certain killings and then protests in response to that. You suddenly see a strong sense of hatred among security men and policemen towards the local journalists, because unfortunately in Kashmir, reporting objectively from an administrative point of view amounts to being a part of the resistance camp.
So, I mean, in last 2.5 years, I mean, this was one of the strictest curfew and strictest gag I have ever witnessed in last 2.5 years or 3 years. I'm working on the ground and I cover security. Whenever we go in you get information in Delhi that there are 10 militants killed in Kupwara. Okay, we get it official dispatch. Most of the journalists from national media, they depend on officially version what they say. But when I go to the ground and I see 10 houses burned down, it was not only 10 people who have lost their life. It's 10 houses. I mean, they have put an entire life. You see the houses of Kashmir. It's because we have a harsh winters. I have seen people living in that bitter cold without shelter. So what you would report? Would you report that it was only 10 militants? I have to report the human tragedy. I mean, what is after
The
that?
collateral damage and other things.
So who will report it? It's only local media. I have never seen single story about this thing. So this hurts.
There is another kind of a gag which is consistently going on in Kashmir. Like this is the state-sponsored gag, but there is another gag which has going on, which I'm seeing going on, which is an unsaid gag that comes from the other part of the divide. Okay, they never say you directly because they don't have the authority to stop you from the ads and all. But there is, like Nahvi was saying correctly, there is a threat perception. If you don't report or if you don't put the other part, what I'm seeing, like the people who are asking for freedom and all, if you don't put their version on, whether it is valid or not, whether it has a news value or not, if you don't put it on, your newspaper is at a threat. See, I already mentioned that there has been a gag from other side, but you can expect that gag because
I think
you can because they don't have the moral value, but they don't have that, what we call it, like they are not democratic. They are not democratic in many ways.
I don't think that
But when we exactly
that we are even comparing the government.
exactly this is
Outside.
but the government for me, why I call it a gag from the government is more valid, and it's more hitting you as a person, as a journalist, because you call yourself a democratic system, you have democratic institutions and all, and then still if you do a gag, that means you are comparing yourself with those, whether you call them anything, but they are not on democratic front. You people call yourself you are a democratic state and you have democratic values and a republic values, but when you gag people, it becomes an issue.
It's not that the government doesn't have a right to act against newspapers. The constitution guarantees there is this
Article 19.
press. There are certain media press acts. A single letter from the district magistrate and your declaration could be seized. Fine. But then it's very important that you do it in a systematic way. You don't, when you know that the newspaper is doing nothing unethical, but yet you don't want it to do that, you have no option other than using force. That's what happens here, unfortunately. Otherwise, if a newspaper, a channel or a reporter does something that violates the media laws, you can easily take a legal recourse and challenge the newspaper.
It was a policeman who got out of turn post. No, he was not
Promotion.
He was not eligible for that post. So I just reported it in the newspaper. The moment I did, I talked to editor, and an editor told me not to do that story. I mean, because in conflict situation, you have to keep many things in consideration. Because you have to keep rapport with everybody. If you don't keep it, then when the times will change, like it's now, there are reprisals.
It's a very dicey equation.
It looks very easy. I mean, he's talking.
It's a tightrope walk. It's
when
not easy. I mean, it's very difficult for a journalist to work under such struggle.
It's very difficult.
It's
You are
easy.
not
It's
able to move. What are you saying? I mean,
easy,
for
yeah.
13,000, 14,000 bucks, or some people say for 5,000 bucks, they are putting their life on risk. They are getting beaten, and even they have no insurance. No insurance. There are no insurance. They are covering this conflict. It's a very terrible conflict. If you live here for 2-3 months, you will get choked.
In the 4 months, approximately, how many days would the papers not have come for?
I remember,
I think
like
1 month, yeah?
I was like, we had some plans after
Yeah,
the
Sadhana,
Eid
I see
and
a
all.
protest.
And exactly because on the Eid, on the Eid day, there was 18 or 17 deaths on that day. So
That is 10 days.
Strictest curfew I have seen in my entire life, I guess. Maybe in 90s it might have been stricter, but
they
kind
don't.
of in the present situation, I saw one of the strictest curfews. So what happened on that day, like from, I think Eid was on the 11th till 18th, there was no publication of any newspaper at all. It was the same time when they banned the local channels from covering covering, getting the news
Hearing the
slots and
news.
all. They already reduced it. Earlier it was half an hour news. They reduced it
15 minutes.
15 minutes, but they stopped them. I'm not saying they were actually wrong in many ways, because there were certain incidences where the local media should have acted with more
channels.
But like to gag it all together was something like
No, it was 18 days. Before that, it was 10 days. I mean, that time we have protested.
So what I said,
with these bans.
it was like 8 days, and for no confirmation, government didn't bother to ask our editors.
It was
Why
second
are
or
you-
third
because
time.
They were not allowing any media outlet to come out except the national media.
When you want the world to believe and the Indian civil society to believe, hang on, when you want the world and the Indian civil society to believe that the problem is only a law and order problem and it's confined to the jurisdiction of 5 police stations, you are in for trouble if you allow your local media to publish the story, because the fact is entirely different. The fact is that the uprising is valley-wide. It's in all nooks and corners of the valley, and
outside value.
even across the Banihal, in some Doda and other areas. So something
Pir Panchal and
something that the national papers don't generally report, and this is their main problem in stopping English newspapers from getting publishing, and especially when the atmosphere is very tense, when lots and lots of killings have happened and all
And
that.
the
That's
gag has been lesser, you're saying, for Urdu.
slightly,
And the other
but
thing
there
is
have
that
There must have been a
English-
gag on the foot soldiers and
No,
the
no, and-
reporters,
and the
all.
fundamental
but there
thing
has
is-
not been the seizure as much as it has been to
Of
the
the
two
English
two
news.
major English dailies of the Kashmir.
No, or, and it's more to prevent the non-Kashmiris, the Indian civil society and the international fraternity, from knowing the facts, rather than
Another problem is that, I just wanted to add briefly, I add always briefly. I mean, the English media has grown a lot here. So that is one of the other factors.
It has
I mean,
evolved
if you
compared
compare
to
it
Urdu media, yes.
Compared to Urdu media, I mean, it has evolved a lot. I mean, we do stories
we didn't
of...
have an English newspaper just 20 years back.
You have been covering security and defense for a really long time. Have you faced any, that's a very sensitive beat to cover. Have you faced anything personally in the last couple of years? As an example of
I narrated, this year, I just put one story on this, a report of a person that was proving that he was killed.
was stopped.
No, that was published online because our newspapers were not coming out. Even on online, people, they monitored and they told me that you should pick up, otherwise you will have to face the reprisals. So that is actually the problem. The last time I covered this, 150 militants which infiltrated through Uri. Last year, you might be knowing that. Afterwards, my credentials were inquired by the Intelligence Bureau, and there's a proper file in the Intelligence Bureau that who I am and what I am doing and what I am covering. And this
It's a very it's a very funny example. There was a strict curfew placed in Khanyar Chowk. I'm walking with my other journalist friend. We are walking straight away, and there suddenly the CRPF stops us. We showed them our curfew passes and our ID cards, and he said, "I won't allow you." And suddenly a civilian comes without a curfew pass, without anything.
He was
He in front of him, he said, he allowed him.
It's
I
a
told him,
norm
how
here.
can you allow him? He said, it's up to me. We have strict instructions that media should not be allowed. So
It's a
I
norm.
had to go back from my own, like it was a like tragedy there. You are not allowing me with a valid curfew pass, and I'm a media person, which in any under conflict zone is allowed to move. And he just allowed a common person. And the other day, when I was walking, I saw that same man, and he then in a mall, he just said me, "Oh, you're the same guy. You know me. I'm allowed freely, and you people are never allowed. So don't tell me you're a journalist. Journalists are not allowed freely." So these kind of gags happen where I ever have.
I think we'll wrap up.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, fine.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.